They said it wouldn't happen, but as of this moment, it is happening. President Trump and the Israeli Defense Forces have just launched what could be remembered as the final blow, the moment the entire Iranian war machine began to collapse. Mass evacuations, B-2 stealth bombers in formation, and a top Iranian nuclear site has just been turned into molten rubble, while China scrambles to cover its tracks. But what you're not hearing anywhere else, guys, is why the strike was timed perfectly and how President Trump's pressure campaign isn't just aimed at Tehran, it's aimed at Beijing as well. What just happened may trigger the end of Iran's nuclear future or ignite a world war. But here's the twist. It's not over. So in the next few minutes, I want to share with you guys what intelligence tipped off this operation, why embassies across the Middle East are shutting down as we speak, and what President Trump's next move could mean for China, for oil markets, and for your own family safety. Guys, do not look away. This is bigger than anyone expected. Let me go and break down what just went down and why the collapse may only just be getting started. By the way, if you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate you guys. Get out now. This is not a drill. This is the direct message being echoed through U.S. diplomatic channels across the Middle East tonight. And it's not just the United States. One by one, embassies around the region are locking down. They're shutting their gates. They're rushing their staff to the tarmacs under military escort. In Israel, a U.S. Air Force transport plane lifted off under the cover of darkness from Ben Gurion Airport with 79 personnel on board, including diplomats, security teams, and their families. This wasn't scheduled. This wasn't announced. This was a coordinated emergency extraction approved at the highest levels and executed like clockwork. Now, here's where it gets even more alarming. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, currently serving in Tel Aviv, issued a level 1 advisory just before the evacuation flight departed, stating all American citizens in the region should register for immediate departure. The situation is fluid. Do not wait. Let me say that again. Do not wait. Huckabee's words were not political. They weren't cautious. They were direct, urgent, and presidential. And it's not just Americans pulling out. From London to Paris, Berlin to Ottawa, allied nations are moving fast. France, Germany, Canada, the UK, and even Australia have begun withdrawing their embassy staff from Israel, Iraq, Lebanon, and Jordan, citing intelligence-based threat assessments. The U.S. State Department has now updated its advisory level to level 4, do not travel, across a wide swath of the Middle East, including Israel, Iraq, Syria, Western Jordan, Southern Lebanon. Guys, this is the kind of advisory you issue when war is not just likely, but it is imminent. And make no mistake, these are not just paper warnings. These are the early movements before something serious unfolds. So when embassies evacuate, it means governments are no longer confident in their ability to protect their own people on the ground. It means military options are not just being discussed, they're being prepared. Every month that goes by, thousands of people are unknowingly overpaying for Medicare coverage. Don't be one of those guys. Jamie from Texas, she made the switch and is now saving $600. Darlene Walraven said, Ron, thank you so much. Chapter is saving me $200 a year and lowered everything. Guys, there's no need to be an expert. You just need someone who compares every single plan, listens to what you need, and helps you to get the service or get the savings that you deserve. So give our friends at Chapter a call right now. Phone numbers down below, or visit them on the website at askchapter.org/Ron and stop overpaying. So while these embassy gates were closing, hangar doors were opening. At Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, a fleet of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. They were seen taking off in tight formation. Destination, Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. Now, let's just go ahead and stop right there, because B-2 bombers do not deploy for show. They are not for intimidation. They are not for parades. They are for precision, preemptive strikes. These stealth aircraft, virtually undetectable by radar, are designed to slip behind enemy defenses, fly 6,000 miles without refueling, and deliver a devastating payload right to the heart of hardened targets. And I mean hardened. These B-2s are carrying GBU 57A-B massive ordnance penetrators, also known as bunker busters. These bombs weigh 30,000 pounds each, and there's only one reason that you would deploy them right now: to take out Iran's deeply buried Fordow nuclear facility, the same site that analysts now believe has resumed weapons-grade uranium enrichment. And folks, that is a red line. President Trump cut his G7 summit short just days ago, flying back to the White House in the middle of global diplomacy for an emergency security briefing. He walked into the Situation Room and then, just hours later, dropped this message on Truth Social: "We know what you're building. Stand down now, or you will be shut down permanently." Not vague, not diplomatic, just real, just no filter. So it was clearly a line in the sand, the kind of warning that signals a 24 to 48 hour countdown clock may have already been started. And that warning came after the U.S. and Israel intelligence teams confirmed that Iran had resumed high-level enrichment inside the mountain-shielded Fordow site, and essentially an act that would put the country weeks away from nuclear breakout. So let's lay this out clearly. The U.S. is evacuating its embassies. Trump is mobilizing first strike stealth bombers. Israeli jets have already hit Iranian targets once this week. And Iran is warning that any further strikes will be considered acts of war. So here's the deal, guys. This isn't about Iran. There are other players in this theater as well, operating just below the surface. And we're about to actually go ahead and pull this curtain back, because I want to show you guys who's behind the strange Chinese cargo flights, what Israel just blew up in Iran, and why President Trump's next order might not just target Tehran, but Beijing's dirty secret too. So stick with me, guys, because while President Trump positions America's stealth arsenal into striking range, Israel isn't waiting. Just hours before this recording, the Israeli Defense Forces launched a direct strike on Iran's Isfahan facility. This is one of the country's most important nuclear development sites. Specifically, they hit the centrifuge construction hub, the very infrastructure needed to enrich uranium to weapons grade level. And Israel did not stop there. In what military analysts are calling one of the most daring cross-border operations in years, the IDF carried out a precision assassination, eliminating Saeed Azadi, a high-ranking Iranian military commander directly involved in coordinating the October 7th Hamas terror attack. Now, according to reports, Azadi, he was targeted and he was neutralized inside Iranian territory using what is being reported as a combination of Israeli intelligence, aerial surveillance, and long-range drone delivery. The message from Israel is crystal clear. We know who you are, and we can reach you wherever you are. Now, Iran didn't just sit back after hearing that. Shortly after the Israeli strike, Iran launched a wave of 40 Shade drones aimed directly at civilian and military targets across central and southern Israel. Only one made it through, though. That's right, 39 out of 40 drones were intercepted thanks to the incredible coordination between Iron Dome and David Sling, Israel's multi-layered missile defense systems. But that one drone caused minor structural damage in a civilian area, proving that even with state-of-the-art defenses, no country is 100% secure. And that is not all, guys. Overnight, Iran also fired at least 5 ballistic missiles, most likely Shahab variants with estimated ranges of 2,000 kilometers. The result? All 5 intercepted, 0 casualties. But here's the catch. Even as their launchers are being destroyed and their drones are being swatted out of the sky, Iran still has thousands of missiles in reserve, which raises the terrifying question, well, what happens if one gets through? But before we get to that nightmare scenario, we need to talk about something that's even more unsettling. Because behind the scenes of this Iran-Israel crossfire, another player is moving the pieces on the board. And so, while world attention is locked on Tehran, Tel Aviv, and Washington, D.C., U.S. intelligence satellites, they're picking up something highly suspicious. Let's just say that. Multiple Chinese military cargo flights entering Iranian airspace and then vanishing. That's right, guys. They turned off their transponders. No identification, no tracking, no explanation. And this isn't the first time this tactic has been used. These flight patterns are identical to the ones that China used back in 2023 when covertly delivering missile components to Syrian airfields under the guise of medical supplies. So this time, the flights are inbound to Iranian military zones near the nuclear corridor, including areas adjacent to the Fordow and Isfahan facilities. So the question becomes, what exactly is China sending over there? Missile guidance systems, drone swarm components, centrifuge parts for uranium enrichment, or worse, something we haven't even identified yet. So what we do know is that President Trump's intelligence briefings and the National Security Council now include multiple references to unverified weapons payloads inbound from Beijing. Now, if you're wondering why China would even take this risk right now, here is your answer. Over 90% of Iran's oil exports go directly to China. This is huge. So if Iran's infrastructure collapses under airstrikes, Beijing loses its black market energy lifeline overnight. So I want you to ask yourself this. What's more likely, that China sits this one out or that it arms its proxy quietly, hoping nobody's watching? But guess what, guys? Trump is watching. Israel's watching. And now the American people are watching. And so the next time one of these cargo planes turns its transponder off, it might not make it back to Beijing. Let's just say that. But here's the most dangerous part. If Iran pushes too far and China is dragged in even deeper, the chances of a massive retaliatory strike goes from possible to probable. So we're now essentially at the edge of something that we have not seen in decades. An active war zone where three nuclear powers, Israel, Iran, and China, are either engaged or circling overhead. So what happens if, hypothetically, Iran decides they've had enough and pulls a trigger? Well, let's go ahead and break it down. At this moment, the United States military forces, they're stationed in Baghdad, Jordan, Turkey, and Qatar. They've all been placed on Conditional Charlie, which is one level below full combat readiness. Now, these are not just diplomats or support personnel. We're talking about combat-ready Marines, Air Force tactical wings, Patriot missile batteries, and even rapid deployment Ranger units. Now, here's why all of this matters. Every one of these bases is within range of Iranian proxies, especially Hezbollah operatives and Shiite militias, who have already pledged retaliation if Iran is hit again. Now, so far, President Trump, he has not authorized any ground deployment into Israel or Iran. But behind closed doors, he's already pre-cleared multiple emergency response teams, including special forces, strike groups, aerial medevac units, and carrier-level fighter wings sitting in the Mediterranean, ready to respond at a moment's notice. So this is no bluff. This is chess, and Trump's pieces are in motion. So now, let's talk about what Iran could actually do in return. Now, according to Pentagon simulations, if the Fordow facility is hit, or if Israel continues its campaign deeper into Iran's southern weapons corridor, the Iranian response will be swift and symbolic. Possible U.S. targets include the Baghdad Green Zone, the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, or even a U.S. Navy ship in the Mediterranean. Why? Because Iran needs to show strength, not just to the world, but to its own people. And, they'll likely strike a visible American-linked target with just enough force to grab headlines without triggering an all-out war that they know that they cannot win. But here is the risk. When missiles start flying and embassies start closing, mistakes get made. And this is where we pivot to the bigger picture. Because even if you're watching this from the comfort of your own home in Kansas or Kentucky or Florida or California, let me know where you happen to be watching from. What's happening right now can and will ripple across the globe. So I want to go ahead and map it out with you guys. This isn't just an Israel issue anymore. As of today, U.S. embassies in Israel, Iraq, Jordan, and Lebanon are either closed in drawdown or operating with skeleton staff only. Germany, they have officially shut down all consular services in Tel Aviv. Canada, they have issued a mandatory withdrawal of all non-essential personnel from Iraq. France, they have suspended diplomatic air travel in and out of Jordan. Meanwhile, multiple commercial airlines, including Lufthansa, Air France, and British Airways, have all suspended all Tel Aviv-bound flights indefinitely. Civilian air traffic is evaporating by the hour, and if you're an American still in the region, the message is no longer subtle. Get out now. Even the White House travel advisory, usually, couched in vague, bureaucratic language, they've been updated to say U.S. citizens currently in the affected region should make immediate plans to depart. Do not wait. Now, all of this, every drone, every evacuation, every satellite pass over Iranian territory, it's building toward one moment, July 4th, 2025. That is the deadline President Trump set in front of cameras when he was asked about the formal U.S. military entry into the conflict. He said, "We will make our position clear by Independence Day, but we won't wait to protect Americans if Iran makes the wrong move before then." So that gives Tehran exactly 13 days to reconsider everything. Because right now, every stealth bomber in the sky, every embassy evacuation, every satellite ping over the Persian Gulf, it is all saying the same thing. You move, we strike. And the entire world is holding its breath. But there is one final piece to the puzzle that explains why Trump is doing this. What message he's really sending here, and what he wants every rogue nation watching to understand before the clock hits zero. And that is what we need to talk about. Everything you've seen so far, the embassies clearing out, stealth bombers taking flight, Israel's precision strikes, Iran's rattling saber, and the eerie silence from Beijing, it is not random. It is reactionary. It's strategy, cold, deliberate, and designed for one thing, to deliver a message that doesn't need to be spoken. Trump isn't just protecting with strength. He's rewriting the rules of deterrence in real time. So instead of sending diplomats, he's sending bombers. Instead of issuing red lines behind closed doors, he's posting them where the entire world can read them. And instead of playing the DC game of wait and see, he's daring Iran to blink. Every B-2 in the sky every B-2 in the sky is a silent ultimatum. Every satellite repositioned over the Gulf is a surveillance threat made visible. And every evacuation isn't just about safety. It's about removing excuses. Because once those embassies are empty, there's no more diplomatic buffer. There's no more plausible deniability. No more back channels to stall with. Just the next move. And so here is where it lands for every single viewer watching this show right now. If you're an American overseas, listen to what your government's saying. If you're watching this from the U.S., understand what your country is preparing for. And if you're in a nation that thinks it can outmaneuver Trump's America, consider what you just witnessed. This is no longer about Israel versus Iran. This is no longer about nuclear inspections or drone interceptions. This is about global posture. This is about deterrence. This is about telling the world's worst actors, if you light the match, we'll burn the bunker down. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you with the same phrase that kicked this operation off. And also one that now is echoing across the halls of every U.S. embassy and base. Get out now. Because what comes next it won't be a warning. If you guys appreciate the updates, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.